Have you ever noticed something strange? The people who speak the least in a meeting are often the ones everyone watches the most. They aren't trying to dominate the room. They don't interrupt. They don't tell everyone how smart they are. Yet when they finally speak, people stop scrolling, stop talking, and start listening. Most assume that's confidence. It isn't. It's something much more valuable. It's independence. And in a world built on attention, emotional reactions, and constant validation, independence is surprisingly rare. If you've ever been called intimidating, distant, or hard to read, it may not be because you're unfriendly. It may be because you don't participate in the social habits most people rely on every day. The same habits that quietly influence careers, relationships, and even financial decisions. Here are 7 signs your quiet nature gives you an advantage most people misunderstand. The first sign is that you're comfortable waiting. Most people feel pressure to fill silence immediately. In conversations, negotiations, and meetings, the first person to become uncomfortable usually gives away information. You've probably noticed this without realizing it. You ask a question, then simply wait. The silence doesn't bother you. Eventually someone starts explaining, justifying, or revealing more than they planned. Experienced negotiators use this intentionally. Introverts often do it naturally. Silence isn't empty. It's leverage. The second sign is that you don't chase approval. Many adults spend enormous energy trying to be liked. They laugh when everyone laughs. Agree when everyone agrees. Apologize for opinions they don't actually regret. You probably don't. That doesn't mean you're arrogant. It means your self-worth isn't constantly being outsourced. Think about investing. People who panic every time the market moves usually lose money because they're reacting to everyone else's emotions. The investor with a long-term plan stays calm. Social life works the same way. The person who doesn't need constant approval becomes difficult to manipulate. That can feel intimidating to people who depend on validation. The third sign is that you observe before acting. Imagine 2 coworkers joining a new company. One immediately talks, jokes, and tries to impress everyone. The other spends the first few weeks watching. Who influences whom? Who makes decisions? Who gets interrupted? Who actually follows through? By the time the quiet employee starts offering opinions, they already understand the entire landscape. Observation creates better decisions. In finance, this is called gathering information before risking capital. In life, it's called wisdom. The fourth sign is that your emotions don't control your decisions. This doesn't mean you don't feel deeply. Often it's the opposite. You've simply learned that reacting immediately usually creates expensive mistakes. Think about the biggest financial disasters people make. Impulse purchases. Panic selling investments. Quitting jobs during emotional moments. None of those come from logic. They come from temporary emotion. The same applies to relationships and careers. When someone raises their voice and you remain calm, they may assume you don't care. What they're actually seeing is emotional discipline. And discipline almost always looks unusual in environments where everyone reacts instead of reflects. The fifth sign is that you're selective with your energy. As you get older, your attention becomes more valuable than your money. Money can usually be earned again. Time cannot. That's why successful people become increasingly protective of where their attention goes. You probably don't enjoy endless gossip. You don't feel obligated to answer every message immediately. You don't attend every social event simply because everyone else is going. Some people mistake this for being antisocial. It's actually resource management. Just as smart investors don't buy every opportunity, emotionally healthy people don't invest energy in everyone they meet. Scarcity creates value. Your attention is no different. The sixth sign is that you ask better questions than most people. Instead of trying to sound impressive, you're genuinely curious. That changes conversations completely. While everyone else is waiting for their turn to speak, you're trying to understand how someone thinks. This makes people surprisingly uncomfortable. Not because the questions are aggressive, but because very few people are used to being truly listened to. Surface conversations are predictable. Real questions expose assumptions. That's why thoughtful leaders often ask more questions than they answer. They're collecting information while everyone else is performing. The final sign is the one that explains all the others. You don't need to win every room. This may be the quietest form of confidence. Some people walk into every situation trying to prove something. They're proving they're successful. Proving they're intelligent. Proving they're wealthy. Proving they're important. But proving is exhausting. When you no longer need every stranger's approval, every debate, or every opportunity to show what you know, something interesting happens. People begin assigning confidence to you. Not because you demanded respect. Because you stopped asking for permission. Ironically, this is often misunderstood as intimidation. But what people are really noticing is freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from constant validation. Freedom from emotional pressure. Here's the part most people miss. These qualities are powerful, but they also carry responsibility. Silence can become isolation if you never speak. Calm can become emotional distance if you never express appreciation. Independence can become loneliness if you refuse to let anyone earn your trust. Every strength has a shadow. The goal isn't to become quieter. The goal is to become intentional. Use silence strategically. Use observation wisely. Protect your energy without building walls around your life. The people who create lasting careers, strong relationships, and financial freedom usually aren't the loudest people in the room. They're the ones making fewer emotional decisions. They're thinking before reacting. They're protecting their attention like an investment. And over decades, those small choices compound just like money does. Maybe that's why quiet confidence often feels intimidating. Not because it's aggressive. Because it reminds people of something they haven't built yet, self-control. The world rewards people who can stay steady when everyone else is chasing attention. And the older you get, the more valuable that becomes. So if you've ever been told you're intimidating, don't ask whether you're too quiet. Ask a better question. Are you protecting your peace, or hiding from your potential? The answer to that question will determine whether your quiet nature becomes your greatest advantage, or your biggest limitation.